A very good afternoon to you, Anymore. Well, another positive week for the Zim Industrial Index, up 0.78%. Talk us through some of the drivers in today's trading session.
Yes, good afternoon. We saw the market ending the day in a positive way for the industrial index, which closed up 0.78% at 101.75 points. Notably, we can indicate that the industrial index last closed above the 150 points mark last year in October. So quite a notable achievement for the industrial index. The major gainers in the industrial index we had Delta, which was up 0.48% today, but up 7% for the week, notably on the back of strong demand from foreign buyers in that counter. Actually, the counter is now up $1 billion in terms of its market capitalization, the first in the Zimbabwean index. We also saw Econet moving up 4.42% today to 475.1 cents, and for the week it's now up 7.7%. Notably, we are expecting earnings from Econet. It's a half year at the end of August, so some positive earnings are expected from Econet. Also, the news today that the Nigerian court is on the back of Econet for its bid to be compensated by Bharti Airtel, also propelled that movement today. We also saw INSCO moving up 0.98% today to 72 cents, and for the week it's now up 8%, notably as a result of the full year earnings to June 2012.
But the mining index, on the other hand, having rather torrid week, down 9.06% in this week's trading session, and today alone down 6.15%. Talk us through the drivers within that sector.
Yes, the mining index remains volatile. As noted today, we saw it coming off 6.15%, notably on the back of Gold, which went down 28% to 18 cents from 25 cents. Gold, remember, last week it was up 92% to 25 cents. So the count is just reversing that gain, notably coming off. It has been trading under a cautionary because there's a new parent that is taking it over, New Dawn Mining, which is actually offering minority shareholders in that counter to be bought off, and then New Dawn would list on the ZSE by way of introduction. But since that scheme was passed last week, we have seen the price weakening somewhat because the New Dawn is offering the minority shareholders at 20 cents. So at 25 cents, I think there was no support there. We also saw Zim trading unchanged today, but for the week it was down 6.87%, notably on the back of some profit taking by investors in that counter.
In company news, we have AFRE looking for a rights issue. They're looking to get $8.6 million. What kind of demand do you see coming through for this company?
Yes, AFRE has been on a positive since 3 or so months back. Notably, it was affected last year by some corporate governance issues, but there was a new shareholder which came in, a social security authority in this country, pumped some money into that counter and took control. So since that change, you have seen some board changes at that counter and reinforcing the earnings at half year were quite positive, a significant change from what has been happening for the past 2 years. So there's been a big improvement in terms of the demand for that counter, and this rights issue, which they want to raise 8.6 million, we think it will be quite well subscribed, given that it's going to be underwritten by the major shareholder in that counter. Also, we note that the major reason why they want to raise that money is to actually capitalize their subsidiaries. They've got Trisa Insurance, they've got some reinsurance companies that need to be recapitalized to ensure that they are solvent enough to meet the new regulations, both from the Zimbabwean regulators and also their subsidiary in Botswana. The regulator in Botswana is moved to ensure that the capitalization levels for insurance companies in that country are up to scratch.
Looking at another company, British American Tobacco, there's a lot going on at British American Tobacco, but if you look at one of the things, they're proposing to increase its issued share capital by 3.252 million shares. What do you make of what's going on at British American Tobacco right now?
Yes, BAT is one of the counters that is listed on the ZSE that is yet to comply with the indigenization regulations. Its share register indicates that only 6% of the shares are held by indigenous Zimbabweans. So in terms of the indigenization regulations, they've been ordered or they've been told to comply by making sure that 26% of those shares are held by indigenous Zimbabweans by the end of this month. So they've come up with a proposal that by the end of this month, they will hold an EGM in which they want approval from shareholders to increase their issued capital by that number of shares. Notably, they want to also create an employee share ownership trust, which will hold 10% of the issued shares. And in addition, they also want to create a corporate social investment trust, which will be given 10.76% of the issued share capital. They are also offering to help the beneficiaries of these trusts to access loans from the company so that they can follow on these shares.
We just want to get your thoughts on the T-bill auction that was launched by government yesterday. What kind of demand do you see it coming through for some of the T-bills that were launched yesterday?
Unfortunately, for the first Treasury bill issue that was floated yesterday, the subscription rate was quite disappointing at 51%. Total bids that were submitted with RBs at only totaled 7.7 million against a target of 15 million. And we also learned that in terms of the interest rates that were tendered, the highest rate was 15% and the lowest was at 5.5%. But unfortunately, we are also learning that the RBs did not allocate any of the tendered bids to anyone.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Anymore Taruvinga, Equities Analyst at Kingdom Financial Holdings.